in advance for being so much less interesting than the speaker before me. I came up to the front and I said, how in the HE double hockey stick am I going to be able to do what you just did? So can you hear me okay? All the way in the back there? But I did decide, though, that the way to follow a presentation like that, only 2 words can grab your attention. Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump, Carly Fiorina, Rand Paul, Paul Ryan, although I don't think he's running anymore, he's doing something else. John Kasich, the governor of the state of Ohio, who's running for, I'm sure, Jeb Bush, who am I leaving out? I don't even know who's left. Ben Carson, there were 16 at one point in time. When you talk about the 2016 RNC, all of those names sort of immediately, I think, at least spring to my mind and everyone else's mind, because they're all over the television and radio and everywhere you turn, Donald Trump, Donald Trump, Donald Trump. And that's not what I'm talking about today, although certainly politics is a core theme of today's conference. As a historian, as the head of the Western Reserve Historical Society, when we heard about the opportunity of the convention coming to Cleveland, we were all over it. And for those of us who've been affiliated with the Western Reserve Historical Society for a long time, I've been around there for about 25 years. One of our esteemed colleagues and very good friends, John Grabowski, I don't know how many of you know Dr. Grabowski. He's an adjunct professor here at Case. He works at the Historical Society. For most of our 150 years that we've been in existence, it'll be 150 in 2017, we never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. So we thought, well, we're going to get all over this one. And we invited Dave Gilbert, who's the CEO of, he's the CEO of many things. He's the CEO of Destination Cleveland, also Greater Cleveland Sports Commission, as well as the 2016 Local Host Committee. He has added CEO of that to his resume. And I mention him because he's really central to this story. So when we heard of this possibility, we also heard David was going to be in University Circle, and we decided that he needed to come over and he needed to see what we have in our collections, right? Because we think what we have in our collections is that these are treasures, and so important in what they say about society and politics and agriculture and research, of course, and community over time. So we dragged David over to the Historical Society, and John Grabowski and I and a few others did what we call our dog and pony show, and we pulled out some materials from the archives, including a 1936 proposal that won the Republican National Convention in 1936, which was the last time there was a political convention in Cleveland. So 80 years, right? Is my math right? 80 years? 1924 was also a year when the Republican National Convention came to town. So we have those types of materials in our collection, and so much more. We've got political buttons going back to the earliest convention, badges and banners, clothing, automobiles that are associated with candidates. I think, as many of you know, or hopefully know, because history is very important to all of us, right? 8 presidents came from the state of Ohio. Did you know that? And 7 of the 8 were Republicans. So, as you can see, a lot to tell, a lot of collections. We've done a lot through the years with different exhibits. Every 4 years we do an exhibit called Every 4 Years. So a lot of opportunities there. And like everybody else in town, we decided that we would use the Republican National Convention as an excuse, as an accelerator to get some important things done. Things that we had been talking about and wanting and needing to do for a long time. And so we got together with Destination Cleveland, and they created another committee. So there's a subcommittee of the subcommittee, and it's a committee on visitor content and exhibits. And so because we've been so pushy about being involved with the convention, and by the way, I should just note, had it been the Democrats coming to town, we would have been sort of pushy about that too. From the beginning, again, I mentioned John, because he's our resident historian, and probably the best known, I think the Plain Dealer said, living historian on the city of Cleveland. In his back pocket, he had a number of different story and concepts and ideas had it gone differently. And frankly, if the Democratic National Convention, if they would have gone to Columbus was one of the finalists for the DNC, we would have done that as well. But it's Republican Party politics, Republican Party history. Cleveland, Northeast Ohio, the state of Ohio has really played a significant role in that. So that's why we're not Republicans at the Western Reserve Historical Society. We're a nonprofit agency. I just want to clear the air on that. It's amazing that we have to say that, though. They're all over doing only Republican Party history now at the Western Reserve Historical Society. And for those of you who know us well, you know that that's probably not true. But anyway, so we've got this great committee that's looking at content and exhibits, and so my job, I'm a co-chair, and then my co-chair is Karen Mills, and she's the head of the Cuyahoga Arts and Culture. So that's the entity that distributes the revenues from the tobacco tax. And there's am I allowed to say vote for issue 8 while I'm up here? The renewal of the Arts and Culture levy is on the ballot November 3rd. So really important source of support for those of us in arts and culture. But anyway, she's my co-chair, and our job, our fun job, is to basically sort of keep our eye on what's happening all around the city and the region. So, who, like the Historical Society, like CASE, like Lakeview Cemetery, who is out there creating content, not just for, but in anticipation of this convention. And the whole idea is that we're working on a video. We've got a series of short stories that talk about different sort of key aspects of Republican Party history. So we talk about the birth of the modern day campaign, the birth of the modern convention. Marcus A. Hanna is a name that we know well. We hope that because of the convention, people locally will know about him much more. To make this relevant, he's sort of viewed as the Karl Rove of his day. He was a political operative, and he single-handedly, more than anyone else, got McKinley elected, only to be assassinated, but that is another story. So we've got a lot of materials that tell that history. We'll talk about women in the Republican Party, African Americans in the Republican Party, of course the 8 presidents from the state of Ohio. So we've got these little video short stories, if you will, 2 to 3 minutes long, because we know, Destination Cleveland knows, that the national media is going to need a lot of content in advance of the convention, that filler time. You know when they're sitting there and they seem to never run out of things to say, but they do. So they'll be looking for images, content, and placing all of this 2016 convention within a historical context.